our performance matched the energy that they were giving us, and obviously it raised our level. And they're a big part of what we do, especially at home. We feed off that a lot.
We heard some Celtics in 7 chants as well. What was the energy like in the building?
The energy was tremendous. We got to do our job to make sure we get it back here. That's number one goal. Take care of the next game, one game at a time. We can't look too far ahead. Ouch. And make sure that we got we got to make sure we take this one game at a time and make sure that we just make sure we stay together, honestly.
We just got to play better, start the games off better on the starters, make it more difficult for them. They're in a rhythm since the beginning of the game, but we're always going to stay positive, knowing that we can and we will win this series, and we'll just have to close it out at home.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Ladies First Fridays. I love this new edition of Women's Wednesdays on Fridays. I'm here with the amazing Kelsey Nicole Nelson. What's up, girl? How are you today?
Happy Friday. I am great. Glad to be part of this new First Lady Fridays, our Ladies First Friday. And there's so much to talk about. So I feel like they're keeping us busy, making us work for the money, Zena.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. There were a lot of exciting games going on last night, both in the NBA and the WNBA. We'll get to the WNBA, but let's kick it off. Last night's game, the Celtics, you think that 3-0 would absolutely kill morale. You would think that 3-0 would make people go, I'm going home, I'm over this. Where's the next flight to Cancun? But Boston has rallied together and shown up and shown out. I absolutely have adored the way that they came back. I was one of the people that didn't think they could do it. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought that Miami would be more poised and be able to come back from the deficit last night, but the 3-pointers were out of this world. They played the way they were supposed to play the first 2 games at home, and it's been really, really impressive. So now they forced the game 6. We've heard all of the statistics around how rare that is, and the Miami Heat should be a little worried. What are your thoughts?
Said this was a different Celtics team than we've seen as of late in this playoff series. I think this is what Boston fans were asking for. Where was this team? Where was that fight? Where was that dog? And like you said, I mean, they got it going from the beginning. Marcus Smart getting the steal from Bam Adebayo. I mean, I couldn't stop watching. And like you, Zena, 99.9% of the country, I think, was ready to throw this series away. Like, get Boston off my TV, off my television. And all of a sudden, we see new life, a resurgence. Derek White making people take notice, of this Boston Celtics team. And they're playing great team basketball, folks knowing their role. Jason Tatum doesn't have to be the top scorer for this team. Other guys stepping up. And, anytime you get 4 players in double figures in the first half, and you're getting turnovers, right? 10 turnovers in the first half that they were able to capitalize off of. I think this Boston team is really playing. I mean, they're playing do or die basketball. They're not ready to go home. All right. They want to do all the, they want to keep this series. They want to bring it back. And I think it's just been, this is the Boston team that we thought we would get in this series that has finally arrived, finally shown up. They were late to the party, but they're here. So overall, I think this is the Boston team that we thought that could potentially beat this Heat team. And now we're thinking, Zena, that they could potentially do the impossible and maybe be that team to come back from a 3-0 deficit.
1,000%. And you made a really great point about Jason Tatum not needing to be the offensive powerhouse he typically needs to be in order for the Celtics team to find victory. He had 11 assists last night, and we saw, there's that one beautiful drive in the middle, the hook pass out to Marcus Smart to start off the just rain of threes. I absolutely adored, again, just how they showed up. A lot of people have been talking about the identity crisis that they've had, and it seemed like yesterday they looked themselves in the mirror and they talked to themselves and said, no, this is who we are. Now, there were some people that had some conversations and found a newfound 3-point identity. Mr. Derek White, 6 of 8 threes. Now, I don't think that the Celtics can count on that being a steady thing going into Miami. Being able to find the amount of threes that they had out of Marcus Smart and Derek White, probably not something they can count on to win the game, but that distribution distribution, that ball distribution, that effective defense. These last two games, 54 points combined off of turnovers from the Miami Heat. This is now the Miami Heat that needs to look in the mirror and say, what are we doing? But I personally think if the Miami Heat allow them to come into Boston and get a win, this game 7's probably going to go to Boston. And it's because of what Jaylen Brown said. Don't let us get another one. Because now all the momentum is our way. And I love the word they use, resurgence. They have resurged their energy and their confidence in themselves.
You know, that's why I loved all of those sound bites. This is a different confident sounding Boston team, you know, and I think, again, like you said, I think they're realizing like, it's only us. It's only us. We're our biggest enemy. And, you know, to quote one of my favorite lines from a movie, it's going to be trouble, trouble, trouble if the series goes back to Boston. And it's just true. It's just true. And that's why Miami literally has one job. They have one job. They have to win in Miami. But if Boston plays like this, and I think you said it best, they can't rely on the three ball. When the three ball hits, it's good. It's amazing. And obviously that really helped Boston. But you're also looking at a Boston team that really only made 7 more threes than Miami. But percentage-wise, Miami wasn't horrible from the three. But also, I think, you know, the biggest factor, too, if Miami can get healthy, and I'm talking about Gabe Vincent, he can be a difference maker, right? Averaging about 13.1 points in this game. You also look at the Celtics team. I'm a bit worried about Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, so honestly, the health, I think, too, of both of these teams are going to matter. You know, Miami already limped into this spot. You look at who they're missing, but still being able to be here. But, you know, Miami, again, they've already defied the odds. I mean, we're starting to believe in an 8 seed. Like, you know, folks, give everyone a chance because Miami has proved, you know, when you play team basketball, and remember, too, this Miami team suffered as well because Jimmy Butler wasn't able to score like he's usually able to score, right? This is his lowest scoring game in the playoff series. Bam Adebayo having difficulty. Boston switching up on him. Right? Having different defenders, he's not able to get the shots that he wanted. I talked about Gabe, you know, he's that third leading scorer. So I think Miami, and I trust Eric Spoelstra, but they have to just go back to being the Miami team that got here. Jimmy Butler has to get back taking control of this team. We need playoff Jimmy, or whatever Jimmy Butler wants to call himself, if they really want to call game. Because I heard Jimmy Butler was eating popcorn after the game, but I hope he eats popcorn after the game and not home watching the games if Miami drops this next one, Zena. Again, I'm worried about Miami because Boston's going in with a new confidence. And obviously they see how they could beat this Miami Heat team. And then you don't want everybody to get the hot. Al Horford was looking confident. I mean, Zena, it seemed like this Boston team, I mean, everybody was able, you know, as we say in DC, everybody eats. Everybody was eating on this Boston team. And this is the Boston team that's so strong together. So all in all, I think this is the Eastern Conference Finals that we wanted. I know Denver's on the couch like, come on, we're ready. But also, let's also talk about, you know, Denver, Zena. This Denver team now getting some nice rest as they watch these two duke it out. So I think that's the other factor.
They're watching all of this go down. And I know that teams are always going to say, and I talked to Natalie about this, you saw this as well, teams are always going to say, I respect both teams. We're preparing equally for both teams. But Denver did perform better against the Heat in the regular season. So I imagine that that's probably the team that they want to match up against. Joker definitely feeling like he has probably the advantage over Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo, obviously a really great defender, but Joker is just so crafty around the rim. So I imagine that that's probably the matchup that they want. But they're preparing for both. And that is incredibly difficult because imagine you're looking at your schemes, your offensive schemes of where should we, from a defensive perspective, focus on. Miami Heat are really good at transition defense. So are you practicing for trying to beat that transition defense, or are you practicing for being more in the half court with the Boston Celtics team that likes to defend in the half court? It's just like there's different ways and different paths you can take to consider both ways, and they do have time. They do have time. But you always want to figure out exactly who that is that you're going to be matching up against, because that allows you to have a more focused game plan going into your very first game. And Denver wants it. I mean, they want it bad. And I think Jimmy Butler feels confident that he's going to get that next win. I mean, obviously he said we can win the next game. We will win this series. Yeah. So maybe the Denver Nuggets are fingers crossed around that. But I definitely think that there's a lot of excitement around whoever comes out of the East. That is going to give them a lot of momentum, whether it's the Heat fighting back to keep the Celtics off their back, or the Boston Celtics coming off a 3-0 deficit. Whew, Denver Nuggets are going to have a great matchup in the finals. No matter who it is.
Yeah. Because let's think about it, Zena. We're also watching a Denver team that has made history, right? Finally getting to the finals, finally breaking that curse. This is now a Denver team that folks truly feel like they can believe in. And now we're finally talking about Denver basketball. But as he says, we look at this Miami Heat team, and this is a Heat team with so many storylines, the undrafted players, Caleb Martin, we talked about Gabe Vincent, again, really watching him, but look at the difference when Kyle Lowry was in that game. He really wasn't able to contribute, offensively. He had turnovers, contributing to Miami's overall turnovers. So he is a difference maker. I mean, you really want, obviously, this team can't afford to lose anybody else. I mean, you might have to suit up. I mean, it's getting like that for Miami right now. They're trying to get, I'm ready. Like, it's right. Almost to that point, and Jimmy can only do so much. He is great.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.